What's up? I'm Emily, welcome to my channel, and we're about to DIY a costume out of thrifted materials. So I went to the thrift store and I knew I wanted to do a thrifted costume, but I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. I had a few ideas, but I just went to see and look around at what they had, and only one thing came to mind. So that's what we're doing today. I'm nervous. These colors make me nervous.
Orange and yellow are not my colors.
Whatever, let's just do it.
Okay, so this is what my thrifted haul looks like. 2 orange t-shirts, 1 yellow t-shirt, and a black bead bracelet, all for the cost of $20. So as we can see, the outfit consists of a yellow t-shirt with a Peter Pan collar and a flared dress with an empire waist. I will be taking some liberties given the structure of the fabric that I have, but this is essentially what the end result will look like. To start, I took one of the orange t-shirts and something from my closet that had a similar shape of what I was going for and traced it out with a pen. I'm only going to trace to about the bust line to create that empire waist. Next, I folded the whole shirt in half so that when I cut it, I have 2 identical pieces, and I drew a line a couple inches lower than the bust line to make sure that I had extra fabric to adjust for the height later. Next, I cut out the pieces, placed them right sides together, and sewed up the sides. Because it's a stretch fabric, I did it with a serger, but you can also use a zigzag stitch from your sewing machine. Then we grab the other shirt and
dismember it.
then we're gonna grab the back from the other shirt.
He's not gonna need it.
It's time for math.
If you know anything about sewing circle skirts or geometry, this will make sense to you, but I'm not going to get into it because it turns out that everything I just did was for absolutely nothing, because when I cut out that pattern piece, there was no way I was going to make the amount of fabric that I had work for it, so we're doing something else. So instead, we're going to grab 2 of those panels and a skirt, lay it down, and cut out that shape. This is going to be the base of the skirt. Then we're going to grab that 3rd panel and cut out a bunch of carrot shapes, and that's what's going to give the skirt a flared look. Then I laid those pieces all along the skirt to place them and see where I needed to cut some slits, and then I'm going to feed a carrot to each slit and sew it all together. So since we aren't going for X-rated today, we are going to have to redo all of these steps to create the back panel. You may notice that I only did 3 carrots on the back, and I also won't be putting the 2 side carrots because I will be attaching the ones from the front to the back. Then you place them right sides facing together. Yes, I know my machine was acting up and I was tinkering with it for hours and I couldn't figure it out. For today, we're just gonna have to deal with it. So as I was saying, I placed them right sides facing together and sewed the sides together. Then I went ahead and tried on the skirt and the top to see how they fit, and it was at an awkward length, so I went ahead and took off 2 inches from the top of the skirt and 1.5 inches from the bottom of the top. I also went back in to adjust the shape of the hips. So now it's time to combine the top and the bottom, so I'm turning the shirt inside out, slipping it onto the skirt and aligning the side seams, then sewing all the way around. The last step was to finish the raw edge of the neckline and armholes and somehow make some straps. I didn't have a plan for this. I did try to recycle the ribbed collar from the original t-shirt, only to decide that it just wasn't what I wanted.
I'm sorry, it's not you, it's me.
So instead,
We're gonna pretend like that never happened.
I took another piece of scrap fabric to create some bias tape, and I was really hoping that this was going to work out because this was the last of it that I had. So I cut a bunch of strips at a 45-degree angle and sewed them all together to make a long strand, and then folded it in half with an iron. So next I went ahead and aligned the raw edges from the bias tape along the raw edge of the armhole. Cutting the fabric at a 45-degree angle is what's going to allow for a smooth curve. So I pinned it from one end to the other, sewed along the raw edge, and then ironed it flat. I repeated that exact same process for the neckline, the other armhole, and the back neckline. Okay, so now all that's left to do is the straps. I didn't have a plan for this. I was totally winging it. I went back into the scraps I had left and decided that I would use the sleeves from the t-shirt.
The dismembered parts.
So I sliced those open, folded over the edge to about the width that I would want, and then cut out the strips and sewed along the open edge to create a tube and flipped them inside out. Then we pressed them flat before attaching them to the dress. So to attach the straps to the dress, I placed right sides together and sewed along the top. Then I top stitched below that to keep it nice and flat and cut off the excess. I did that 3 more times and the dress was completed. Next was to adjust the yellow t-shirt. It was too baggy to fit comfortably under the dress, so what I did was flip it inside out, place the orange dress on top, and draw out the silhouette like we did with the black dress on the orange t-shirt at the beginning. And then I folded it in half to make sure both sides were symmetrical before sewing each side closed. I also noticed that the shirt had a high-low hem, so I went ahead and just cut the back panels shorter to match the height of the front. I struggled for the right side on my machine because the threads kept breaking, and low-key, I think I fixed it by the time I got to the left side. So I grabbed the scraps from the t-shirt alterations to try to come up with a way to make the Peter Pan collar from the original costume, but I didn't like how it was gonna come out given that the neckline of this t-shirt was a V, and I actually quite liked it the way it was, so I decided to omit the Peter Pan collar. I also could not imagine trying to put this together with my broken serger. I did not fix the machine after all. The final step of making this costume was to take that black beaded bracelet and cut it open. It actually came with 2 strands of elastics in it already, so I'm repurposing them to essentially make 2 small bracelets. I'm not gonna lie, I struggled a little bit. Nope. The second time went much better. So at some point you might have been thinking,
But they're not purple.
yes, I know, but these black ones were $1 at the thrift store and purple ones would have been, I actually didn't look it up, but it would have been way more than $1. That is where paint comes in. Now mind you, I am using acrylic and I feel I should warn you that this is not the method to use if you want to permanently paint plastic. It will peel off quite easily, however it will last the duration of Halloween. To complete the look, you'll also need some knee-high white socks and some flat black shoes. So this is before, and this is after. Makeup is also an option. I'm not that well versed, so I kept it really simple with a red lip and fake lashes. This also kept close to the original look. And depending on your comfort level and your ability to walk on stilts, you can also combine them with thigh-high socks and some stilettos. Here is a side-by-side comparison. Please let me know in the comments below which version you prefer and if you would have done anything differently. Thanks for watching!
Green light. Red light.